two pairs of headphones, headsets or whatever. Okay, let's see. Let's see if it's... Oh wait, I could just open to here, I guess. Okay, it doesn't say that I'm live or anything. Okay, there I am. I'm live now, apparently. Nice. So, we left off with this sloth turtle thing. It's called Namakelen, which is a mixture between turtle and sloth. Len in Russian means sloth, and Namake is like the first part of turtle. So yeah, we have this so far. And we're just going to try and finish it up to make it a little bit more defined. For example, I'm going to draw the head without any concern for how good or bad it looks. I'm just trying to understand what I did, to the point where I do not need to, just draw him once and then forget. Like, I can actually, go and memorize some things about it. Should be more like that. No, this will be because of the shape here. This. So the thing is, his mouth is actually like somewhere down here in this area. He doesn't actually have that. So I'm just trying to, understand the shapes that I made basically by accident the other day. He has 6 eyes, the biggest one is here, although I guess that from this angle it will look more like this. I'm guessing that this eye would look like that, and then like that. Like, this looks like the nose, right? But it's actually like one of the eyes. So then the horn, the tusks, they almost come here to protect this, more or less. And because this thing doesn't eat anything, like solid, that kind of works. So this is a mess, by the way. What I did last stream was that I showed you what I can actually do, to kind of like brag, I guess. Today I'm not going to do that. Like, if you think it looks like shit and that it's going to remain shit, like, that's something that I can really work to help you with. You kind of just have to trust me. So when I'm looking at this, right, like, my first thought is Maybe this should be like that, right? Like the horn, the tusk goes up before coming back down. And the second thought I have is I feel like I'm covering this in a way because I don't really know how to make this look without the tusks. And I don't want that because I want to know what I'm drawing, right? So I have to figure out simplified ways of, like making this work. For example, Behemoth. Behemoth was one of the inspirations for this guy, right? Like he has like the mouth, he has the tusks, and so like you don't really get to see anything here. But then now we have the Haya figure, and we know that he has like this little, he has like the lips here, right? But we normally tend to see his angry ass eyes and all of that, right? So he's kind of like this. And so yeah, like we don't see this. We have never seen this part. It's always covered in shadow. So my objective here is I don't want Haya to make a figure, right? Like I have to do this myself. So this will be a short stream before I make this image. Like I'm going to try and actually make this whole thing here, but like clearly less sketchy, more like final. But for that, I just want to understand what we're going to do here is basically look at this and look at this and say, okay, how can we actually make this work? So as a reference, we have Behemoth, right? As I said, Behemoth has like this almost like elephant-like face. He has his mouth here. You just don't see that. Something else I'm thinking of is the Neomorph. The Neomorph has, this is from Alien Covenant. He has like this, fuck that doesn't. Like this neck here, right? This is a bit too thin in for the Neomorph, who's like a thin-ass creature. And then here you have a little bit of, I want to call it an asshole, but his mouth kind of looks like it, right? It kind of looks like a wrinkly thing. And then he like spreads it, and you have like the da-da-da-da, and he spreads like his lower jaw, right? And well, actually this just like pours out of it. And he has like that alien-ish, like inner jaw kind of thing, right? But when he doesn't have that, it just pretty much looks like an asshole. Even though I'm saying that it looks like an asshole, I'm thinking that maybe our creature could have either this or this, since he filters air, basically. But then I was thinking, in these days that I haven't been here, I'm sorry, I said, okay, tomorrow we continue, and then I wasn't here, so sorry for that. I was thinking whales have this thing where they go and whoop, right? And they have like this filters for krill. So I'm thinking maybe we can do that for the mouth, and I think that's the one that I'm going to like the most. Maybe we can even change the face. Like, of course, this is like not final. Nothing here is final until we are sure that we like it. For now, everything is conceptual. So this is more or less the face we have. Then we have, you know, like the two necks working together, you know, like they have like this thing in between. I don't want it to look too gory or anything. So we have this area to work with. So this will be like the jaw, the upper jaw. And if we want to go with the whale thing, right, like filtering air and all of that, then I was thinking, like, if he, where will these start? They kind of start around here, more or less. Okay, so we need to keep this in mind. But as I explained, nothing's final, so like this is just like a reference. Think of it that way. I hate when people call me during the streams when they know I'm trying to do this thing, but it's okay. How will this work? We need to think of how our creature's body works, right? So what I'm thinking is maybe it's just a tube that comes here, right? And then you have like all this whole like processing part of the body. So what if he doesn't have this over here? Like what if he doesn't have the quote-unquote lower jaw, right? So he could have this and then just have like I don't know, that like I think that looks pretty alien to me. And from the front, what that would do is you will have this. And then we could have like this almost filter-like shape. Okay, this has to go back. And you could have this. It looks kind of scary, I guess, because like, you know, they almost look like sharp teeth. But we want to make it look like whale stuff, right? So it looks kind of like this filtering mechanism. And so this here will just be the head, right? So then it will just be rendering at this point. We don't want it to look like teeth or sharp stuff. We just want it to look like lines, like what a filter will look like. I think this looks alien enough that it conveys that this thing doesn't come from our reality, you know. Maybe you can add a little bit of, you know, like a structure here that conveys, okay, yeah, this is supposed to be like the lower jaw. Something like that, right? It is a lower jaw, it just evolved completely differently from what we have. And here I need to erase a little bit of this. And you may say, like, why do you want to make it look like this? It looks a little bit too weird. Maybe it doesn't look cool. But I don't think that's what really matters. Again, in this world, I'm trying to create creatures that feel like they have not necessarily evolved to be a part of this ecosystem. Like they're kind of thrown into it. They just like literally just spawn in, and either they can adapt or they just die, and you won't see any more of them in like a month, right? And in a month from now, something else is going to spawn. So whatever is able to adapt, like, good for you. And if you cannot adapt, then it's like, okay, sucks to be you at that point. And in an environment that changes so much, like I just feel like this will make sense, having something like that. Okay, so maybe here we can start connecting some of the structure. You know, like so it looks like the horn is like generating from this area or up to there. And let's change this once over here, just because, right? We're going to simplify it because it's now really small, but it's basically this. So it basically just looks like a hole. So we're people, we'll look at a hole and say there's a goal. I don't think this is like one of those cases. Let's just imply, okay, this is a bit too thin. Okay, there. And now I don't even see where the pen is. Okay. Okay. Let's delete all of those little details we fucked up. Okay. There. And then, as I said, now we will have this here, that over there. There we go. So his lower jaw is way more underdeveloped than anything else. We will keep the horn just because I think it looks nice. Maybe, I don't know, maybe males have horns and females don't. Again, this is supposed to be a real creature, so we will have some dimorphism or something like that, I guess. And yeah, I think this is fine. Like, I think this is good enough. Even I would say, like, let's make this over here. There. Now, when you're designing something like this and you want it to make any type of sense, we could ask ourselves, why does it have the horns, the tusks, right? Like, because this, let's just use this one. This doesn't make any sense for an animal that it's basically filters air. So what I'm thinking is maybe the trees, it could, like, you know, use its tusks to create these little cuts, and the trees release nectar, right? So it can drink water, but when needed, it can also just, like get the nectar and it goes straight into the filter for when, I don't know, maybe it's like a dry season, right? So that's one thing I was thinking. So how do I justify him having these tasks? They have to be a different utility than elephants because these guys are like sloths. They're really slow. They live on the trees. And yeah, I was thinking that they could use them for that. You just dig deep enough and then boom, there it goes straight into the filter after a while, right? So that's something they could do to have enough water, or like in this case syrup, whenever they cannot get it from humidity. Because clearly I thought of that, like if they are filtering air, they can also they can also probably get the moisture and just drink from that in a way. But I don't think that will be enough for an animal that's this big, right? Like they're clearly eating and breathing at the same time because their whole respiratory system has also adapted to the consumption. But even then, I think I need to justify the dust, and I think that this is simply like the best way to do that. It's a plan B that evolution gave this little guy. So there we go with the tasks. They will stay. And now my second question that I've been making is like, do I really want to give him 6 eyes? Like the more I draw them, the least I feel like they look good. And they could be confused by nostrils, which I don't want them to be confused by nostrils, because then that makes the whole feeding system this thing has a little unclear, right? So if it's unclear, I kind of screw myself over at that point. Like I don't really have a goal besides making stuff make sense. So if I cannot do that well, then there's no point to that. So I'm going to remove one of the pairs of eyes. We're going to keep this here, and so far I have used these shapes, like simplest circles and stuff like that. And I'm thinking now that, first of all, actually this should be here. Okay, give me a moment. Here, we're going to make this bigger. There. I'm thinking those could be like a whole video on their own. What type of eyes do you want to give your creature? Well, here my question will be like, okay, what are these guys looking for? And I don't know how sloths see. I think they have like normal dog eyes or stuff that looks like that. But what I was thinking is, these guys, they don't need to defend themselves, right? Because they are beneath the tree as we established. So if a Rodan is trying to, like fucking get them, there is a whole ass like trunk right here, basically preventing this as a shield. They're not on top of the branch, they're underneath it. So they don't need to look for predators, and they don't need to look down either, because nothing's going to jump this high and get them. Also, I don't really have any other creatures that are going to live in the trees, at least in the giant forests. My Gavras, they will use trees to hunt, but they do not live in the same environment as the Namakelen. The Namakelens are this big and this peaceful. They managed to survive because they spawned in the right place at the right time. That's why they survive. But as soon as you had Gavras, Garas would probably just kill them for fun, since Garas don't actually need to eat. But anyway, so I'm going to keep the eyes a bit. That's kind of scary. Let's see. Okay. Okay, this is fine enough for now. Do I want to make them more like inhuman to the point where you don't really have a way to like sympathize because they look very reptilian, or do I want them to look more mammal like, right? Because the thing with making them more mammal is that I'm going to make people not feel threatened. Like they look kind of scary, right? These filters could easily pass for sharp teeth, which is literally what I'm trying to avoid as I make it, because it looks like that. So then what I have to think of is like, okay, so maybe just when you look at the eyes, you can see that these guys are not really like trying to like hurt anyone, like and for that I'm going to actually look at I love cows. I don't know if you guys like. I'm not trying to be like a vegan or anything, right? But cows are like really fucking cute. Um, so one thing that I can look at this and be like, okay, this kind of looks like a walrus, right? It kind of looks like a walrus mixed with a turtle, mixed with a fucking like thing dinosaur. But I'm kind of creeped out by walrus' size. They're really red all the time. They look like they're high as hell, and they look kind of aggressive. So I don't want that. I'm going to look at cows and see how their eyes look. I'm going to try and see how you can recreate that cow eyes. Oh, actually, you know what? I'm going to show you that here, so you can see it. I want you guys to see everything I do. This is what I use for the thumbnail. This is not sponsored by Cow Eye. So, cow eyes, they do the thing doggies do, where they look mostly black, but then they look to the side, and it's kind of cute, right? Some people might look at this and think that it looks stupid, or some people might look at it that because it looks stupid, they might think that it's kind of scary. So, oh, even better, we have right here someone drawing them. That helps. And then we have this guy here, right? So I think to capture the soul, and this is something that they actually talked about in King Kong 2005, in case you didn't know. They said that when Kong dies, one of the first things you notice is that his eyes lose all the shine in them. So if you pay attention at that point in the movie, it actually you can see it. You can see that the moment where he truly dies is that point where his eyes just like go and lose all their shine. So what we will have to do is make sure that you have that here. You can recognize it. Let's see if I can do it, right? Because like me looking at an image, me looking at like cow eyes and all of this, like doesn't mean anything if I cannot actually process that myself. And to some people, eyes like this actually are kind of creepy, right? Like when you have like a lot of black, it's used to show like a lack of humanity. And I guess if you're kind of mean, you can say that cows have a lack of humanity, like like they're stupid creatures, right? I think this is like the perfect mixture between like kind of creepy, kind of scary, and like also not necessarily threatening. No matter what I do, unless I go very caricaturistic. I don't know if that's a word. Unless you try to make something very reductive, I think you will never really make something that's supposed to look realistic, at least with a lizard-like thing, and just make it cute in a way that everyone thinks it's cute. Like there will always be someone that's like, oh, I think that's kind of weird, right? Like those eyes, I don't really like them. But geckos are there, right? So like clearly there's some things you can do that people just look at and they say, okay, yeah, no, I like that. I don't feel threatened or anything. I think it's kind of adorable. We're not going for adorable here, even though I think that cows are cute. But we're trying to look for that lack of threat. I think here my problem is that the white is taking too much space. I mean the black is taking too much space and there's not enough of the white. I was thinking, it has two eyes. Maybe one can be bigger than the other, not just in size, but also like the size of the pupil. But now that I see it, I don't really like it all that much. So we're going to do this. We're going to fix this here. I think that should work a little bit better, and we're just going to add some lines here. Let's just give this some space so you can actually feel the eyes. They're like, so if the eye is mostly black, which it is here at least, then you want to use some white around it. At least that's what I'm going to do. So the black actually, doesn't get lost. Okay, now I'm going to zoom out and see if it looks better. Now I'm thinking that this is something I need to get rid of right here. And if I'm going to add some white, maybe I should do it here, making it bigger, maybe. Okay, that's a little bit better. Yeah. That's better. And with some of the black, we're going to add some wrinkles and stuff like that. Like the closer you get to this edge here, like the more I want to. Okay. Nope, not like that. Okay, yeah. Let's try there. There we go. I think that can help. Yeah, that's nice. So yeah, the eyes. I was considering making them, like the typical cat / like velociraptor eye, something like this. But I feel like that will have been a little bit too threatening, and we do have a lot of creepy things, I guess you could say. Like if I'm picturing how this will look with color, it's going to be basically this. Okay, let me show you. There will be a little bit of exposed here, you come there. there will be a little bit of exposed red here, you know, from where it's a bit fleshier. But it's not supposed to look grotesque or anything. Also, color-wise, he will live in the trees, which will be mostly white and reddish. Like it's green, but the leaves, the leaves have like these reddish veins all over the place. So I was thinking maybe we could give him kind of like a similar color. Maybe these things, like I don't know, like they could adapt or do what's up with this, mute or something like that. Like okay, let's see. I didn't mean to do that. For now, actually, you know what? Let's give it a little bit of a bluish gray. I'm thinking I kind of want to do something like that. Maybe at least in the neck, I'm going to go for, you know, males have like different colors to maybe impress the ladies and stuff like that. So maybe we can do this. Also, like I just noticed this might actually end up looking like Godzilla 98, like the Godzilla the series, specifically with these like blue colors and giving it. I wasn't trying to do that, but here we are. You know what? I think I'm going to add a little bit of green. Like I know this will probably look really ugly right now, but you know, like I'm just trying to see if adding a little bit of colors here and there could. No, I made a mistake. That was a huge fucking mistake. I don't know if this is the type of green I should be adding necessarily, but I don't know, I feel like you know what, let me see. We're going to take a look at someone who actually, when you don't know what to do, you don't need to force yourself to think about anything. You can always just do what I'm about to do. Jurassic World Rebirth. I have seen this little guy here, right? And he has like a couple of colors that I think are really nice. So he has blue and he has orange. But if you look in the middle here, he has green, right? Like he has green over there, like there's just a little bit. So maybe I could do a little bit of green and then transition to yellow in these parts. Like, let's see. This is clearly not necessarily like the final coloring we will have or anything, but you know, like just try different things. So you could have like really bright yellow here, really bright yellow here, a little bit of a greenish transition. Of course I will have to fade this, I guess. That's a bit too much. Let me see if I can. There. And now maybe we can do like the blue. Yeah. Okay, we'll think of colors later. For now, let's just leave a base of light blue, light grayish blue, and we're just going to leave the darker stuff for the outside. So we're going to ignore the fact that this one still has the eye over there. We're going to leave this here. We're going to we're just going to leave the internal details of how the feeding mechanism works there, because I don't see a point in deleting that. And oh, actually, there we go. And here, because remember, this will be the teeth. I'm only painting this here because it's where the task would end over there. So also what we can do is, okay, so we have blue here, we have this here. Normally what you can do is, okay, you have one in this wheel you see right here. I have never really done this. You have red, yellow, sorry, what the hell is going on to me? With me, blue, red, and now what you can do is pick one over here or pick one over here. I'm going to go with the purple just to see what happens. So maybe we could give it like purple eyes. And as you can see, like, this is not like a terrible like color or anything, you know. We can give him some stripes. This actually looks very cohesive, I feel, at least. Maybe you can add even purple here. No, actually, let's just leave it at the stripes here. Now let's see what happens. We have blue here, we have red here. Let's put this. Let's see if this is actually like a good mixture, or if I'm tripping balls right now and I just don't know what I'm talking about. Like, okay, so green can work, right? Like, I don't think this is like a huge deal, but I like purple more. So we're going to try and add this. This color, and we're going to leave the eyes red maybe, and we're going to try and implement this into like our let's call it updated design. So I'm going to put the green here in the eyes. It's a good thing that I made that the way it is. We're going to add some purple in the holes here of the eye sockets. I decided that I would like this horn to be dark blue, this side here too, and you know what, I'm going to add the purple here on the sides. I feel like the purple will actually look better when it's contrasted with the blue, darker blue in specific, and we can begin, you know, like the pattern here. I'm going to, on the inside of the head, you know, like between these things, I'm going to add like this lighter blue here. And we're going to make it like come up here. Why are we doing this? Because it's fun. Like, so guys, if you're ever stuck, if you're ever like, you know, like having issues with like, I don't know, like if I want to keep doing this, just do whatever you like. Sometimes we put ourselves through like these goals that we need to fulfill. Like we have to achieve this, we have to achieve that. And in the end, it's not really like anyone is going to pay you to do this a lot of the time, right? Like you're just going to do it because you want to. So whenever you're drawing, if you just need to do something stupid that doesn't really make much sense, just do it. Oh, Nico, you probably are not here anymore. I'm sorry I didn't see your message before. Hopefully you'll see this later. And you know what I realized? This looks like a Fang from Primal. Fang from Primal has two colors, which is the two tones of blue. This guy clearly has the tertiary color. That's what you call that, right? Like it's like an accent. We gave this guy a purple accent, basically. That's not going to take over the whole thing, but it's supposed to, just like give it a little something, like a little extra stuff. Then we're going to add some red here to this base because like he just needs it. Like remember, this is not supposed to look grotesque, but he does have basically like in a way exposed flesh, or at least more fleshy stuff to him. So we're going to have this over here too. Like and look at this, like don't you fucking feel like maybe this is already a bit more motivating when you look at something you like and you say, okay, I'm going in this direction. So this is what you have to do sometimes. Like I had a goal here, which was do the head, and maybe I wouldn't have been so convinced of things before, but now when I look at it with color, it's just like better to me, like that. I like this. And now what I can do is maybe I'm going to start experimenting with a little bit more of a brighter tone. Maybe when it's, like processing air, when it's doing the thing, this has like a little bit of that pinkish tone. Maybe. I don't like it in the horn too much. I think we could make it more subtle. Something like this. And now I realize it looks more like a dinosaur actually. You know why? Because we made like this division here. I'm going to draw over it. Oh wait, I'm on the wrong layer to do that. Anyway, we have this over here, right? And we could just say, okay, so there and there, like ignore the horns, ignore all of that, and you kind of have what you could, if you want to, describe as a Dilophosaurus, maybe. Maybe you could say it looks like a Dilophosaurus. So we had this whole idea of how to make like this thing that looked like a mixture between a sloth and like a turtle, and it kind of looks like a walrus too if you look at it from a different view, which will be just this, right? If you only pay attention to this part, he looks like a completely different thing. He kind of looks like a walrus. So now we created this thing that's, I mean, I'm not trying to like ego masturbate or anything, but like it looks unique. It looks like a mixture of things, and I don't know, I feel like the way in which it flows from one thing to the other makes it so that someone could look at it and say, oh, it looks like a dinosaur from here, but then you look at it from the side without the foreshortening, and it doesn't look like that at all. If anything, we're going to make it look more like a turtle-ish thing, because then you will have like the more excited, like then you'll see how long the neck actually is, which like the neck is supposed to be like long. It's a long man. Maybe this even should be a bit more like that. But we're just exploring this for the first time. I mean, the second time technically, right? Because we already did all of this before, and now we have just done, well, it's not as much, right? But we have done all of, oh, fuck. Nice. But now we did this whole thing. This too. I think I made this right here, right now. Oh my god, it looks like a... Okay, I'm going to erase you. Anyway, so by doing this, I kind of realized that I can, yeah, I don't know. I found more uniqueness in my own stuff that I thought I could actually get. And this is a thing that really helps when you're trying to, you know, like, first of all, not give up with whatever creative thing you're doing, just like being able to appreciate whatever fucking crazy weird thing you're doing, and also like it will give inspiration for something else, right? Maybe I will do something that has like a more tyrannosaurish or like dinosaurish like shape later. I guess it's the usual thing to do, because I'm drawing kaijus and there's like this whole fucking genre of kaijus that are basically just dinosaurs. It started with the Rhodosaurus, which is literally supposed to be a fictional dinosaur, Godzilla, Gorgo, all of this stuff, right? Like theropod-ish like things. But I'm putting this basically in a body that's like, if anything, is like a sauropod, because turtles kind of look like sauropods, until you realize, oh no, it has like the, you know, the arms and legs of a sloth, but it still has the look of a turtle. At the same time, I was trying to preserve that by having the wrist go like this in this angle. So you mix and match real life animals, you by accident end up with other real life animals that you didn't necessarily plan to have like this prominent in the design, and like mixtures of those animals. And yeah, this is how you do it. You will find a bunch of these things, and once you find that, you'll also start thinking to yourself, okay, so maybe what I can do is that next time I will start from there, right? And mix different heads. Okay, so we have a dinosaur here and we have a walrus. So, and all of that is made in the shape of a turtle. So what if I grab, I don't know, like let's say a shark, and I try to do something like that, Okay, so a shark in the shape of, I don't know. Let's actually, you know, who kind of looks like a shark and a turtle combined into like a ferret? Shimo. Shimo kind of looks like that, but Shimo is way more turtle-like in her final design because of, you know, like how round her nose ends up being, and her whole body in the concept art at least is way more ferret-like, because she kind of has like this very thin, pronounced like body, right? Kind of like ferrets do. But again, she has like this turtle-ish head. But in the concept art, they made this little change, this little unnoticeable, very noticeable actually, change, where her face was way more angular, so she looked more like a shark. Then she has like these angles to her, like because of her hair spikes, whatever. And what you could say is that, what if we made this more like a triceratops type of thing, right? They could have done that, and technically you're mixing triceratops here, you're mixing shark here. The overall shape, you could still say, kind of resembles a turtle-ish thing, and then she's put into the body of a ferret, which is kind of similar to what we're doing. It's just that I think that Shimo is way more boring, not to like massage my own ego. Okay, I do think that we made something here that's a bit more interesting, sue me, and we put it into the body of a sloth combined with kind of a turtle, mostly sloth from the neck up and downwards. So if I could make Shimo something like a ferret, but maybe mix it with something else that has the flexibility of a ferret, then maybe I will have gone back to sharks, because sharks are really flexible. So maybe don't give her scales, and maybe make her feel like a land shark. I don't know, a triceratops shark ferret thing, like that could work. Maybe I'll do that next. Maybe I'm going to make another kaiju that has that. So this one will be there. Okay. As I said, this will be a shorter stream. I just wanted to figure out the head. I like this. We're going with this. I feel like it's unique enough. I feel like the colors might change. The colors are not final, but I like what we have. And yeah, next stream, I promise this one won't take 3 days. This will be tomorrow. I'm going to try and see what we're going to do with the wrists, right? Like, you might be wondering, like, what do you mean the wrists? No, not just the wrists. I'm going to see if I can do both extremities, because right now his feet are basically Gigan. Like, this is just Gigan, guys. Like, I'm not pretending that I, like, made like this huge change that is going to revolutionize. No, this is just Gigan. But the same way that we looked at this whole thing to understand how the mouth is going to work, I want to do something here for the feet, where I look at the bone structure, right? It's clearly not supposed to be like accurate necessarily, because I'm not a fucking doctor or a veterinarian, but we kind of want to have an idea of how this works for us to understand how this should be posed, right? Like, how are we supposed to pose this thing here? Where does the claw begin? Okay, wait. Okay, yeah. And where does, like, the bones, if it's bones instead of just one, how many, like, things are we supposed to have? This should come up due to perspective here, and then we should have this here, right? Like that's how it should work. But I made like a weird thing, so we need to think about that. We need to think about the bone structure, how it goes around and how it moves, and then you start posing, because you're making you're creating a creature that cannot just steal from real life to pose. You are making something different, something new. So you want to understand what's different and what's new, so you can actually, like do this. Unless you want to go the easier route, which is not a bad thing, and say, no, I'm just literally going to make it look like a sloth. And it's going to have 3 claws, like just like with the hands. The reason why I'm not going to do that is not because I think that that's lazy or that you're inferior for trying to, like just take from a sloth, hypothetically if you're trying to make this. It's just because I'm trying to make an alien, right? Like I'm trying to make something that looks like it doesn't necessarily come from this world. And I just feel like if the feet are like this, and the hands are like this, and the neck is like this, I don't know, I feel like this is way more alien looking than doing something that maybe just looks like this, right? I feel like this looks way more like something you will see in a horror movie, right? It's like just trying to be like edgy and pointy and stuff like that. But if we remove this, I feel like suddenly you have more utility instead of anything else. So it grounds the design a little bit. And maybe you could have some lines, Maybe you could have like these indications that maybe at some point in its life, this thing in its evolution, this thing had like more than one thing, but maybe they fusioned over centuries of evolution. Thousands of years of evolution, they just ended up mixing all into one. Kind of like how flippers are, like this, but you see this, right? That this is all you really see with a mosasaurus, let's say, something like that, right? So you have the feet, like you have the hands, you have the same type of bones that you have in your feet, not in your hands, sorry. But it's adapted. It's adapted to something new, something different, like a different shape. So I'm going to try and do that. With this thing, and maybe I will leave this idea here of 3 claws mixed into one, or maybe I'll just make 1 claw. But yeah, now that we're done with the head, we're going to explore the extremities, appendages, the arms and legs. Next string, where I like the head, I like our overall idea of how this thing is going to work. So now we're going to go bit by bit, playing with different design things that we can do on each separate body part. And I feel like with the extremities, we're going to be here for longer. The head I liked almost immediately, and with the head we already did a lot of different things. We went from behemoth to turtles to like a bunch of different things. Not that many. I almost got it immediately. Almost immediately I decided, I kind of like this. So, but I did think about a couple of different options that I could do the thing I liked. But here with the arms, I feel like I might have locked myself into the full-on sloth thing. My greatest idea, as I said, was just keeping this with the angle that a turtle would have. So yeah, next stream we're going to explore that a lot more. Also the fact that this thing should be technically hairy. Like I want to make it go from all of this to have hair like on the extremities and the body, so it can then go into the plant-ish back. And yeah, maybe since it's an alien, it could even have like metal claws, and we could go even more in the Gigan direction. But yeah, that will be for the next stream we have. This one was way shorter, and I'm going to be here tomorrow. I promise this fucking time around. I will be here, and a little bit sooner. I had things to do, important things to... no, I was just procrastinating. But yeah, not anymore. So yeah, this is it for now. This is a shorter one, and we are going offline now.